Hey, sis.
Back to her in the huddle with Rachel Hill, the first lady of sports.
All right. What's up? This is her and Huddle WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Voice. And it is a kind of cold and dreary, well, not really, really cold, but a dreary Tuesday in May. It's Tuesday, May 4th. And right now, the weather is not very spring like, but that is Cleveland for you. Ups and downs, but that's okay because for the hugest event that the city has hosted in a few years, the weather was okay, minus one night. So, once again, this is your girl, Rachel Hill, on Her in the Huddle, WOVU 95.9 M. I am with my guest co-host, Will Epstein from the Shake Back Sports Show. What's up, Will? How you doing, sir?
What's going on, sis?
Nothing.
Cleveland.
Miss you, man.
Oh, same here. Same here. Cleveland. What is going on, Cleveland?
Hey, Cleveland is on the map. Just in case you didn't know that, we just got back some of the ratings, and this draft was the third highest rated draft of all time.
I saw that.
Our small little city did that. We did that.
Did that.
We did that. How surprising is that?
Not very.
Do you think it had anything to do with? Let me try to think of what to say with this. I think there's various factors, but people would say Ohio is the cradle of football, the birth of football. Football Hall of Fame is here. So many legends, things like that. John Heisman was from here. It's just, we've done better than New York. We've done better than the other cities that it was hosted in. So it's a little shocking and surprising. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe, because of how the Browns finished, because the NFL wants the Browns to be good. They need the Browns to be good. Television networks need the Browns to be good, and they want them to be good because of how popular football is here. But for us to do that rating, I think was a little shocking and surprising. So I think it could be a multitude of things, and probably because the Browns are on a come up. But this is one of the first major events in the country, if not the most major event in the country since the pandemic started. So it was just, the pandemic is not winding down, but there's vaccinations and things like that. So that helped spur on participation for people to come. WOVU, our sports staff, had the fortunate opportunity and the blessing to actually be down there covering the events. And you see people from all over the country. Some people came from different countries as well to be here. It was kind of pardon me, I'm sorry.
Why are you rubbing it in?
Well, no, I'm not rubbing it in, but I'm just trying to get a sense of understanding how it happened to be so popular.
Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to, figure out in my brain. I don't know if you can see the gears going right now, but I'm trying to figure it out because I don't really have a solid answer for that.
I think I have an answer for you guys.
Yes, I'll take it.
Okay, so number one, it has a lot to do with the pandemic.
Okay.
Way more so than you probably realize up there in Cuyahoga County and surrounding areas, because the NFL draft, the spectacle that we know it as of today, is one of the most cream of the crop type of put togethers for a party that anybody can go to. And with that being said, with this being probably really the most outgoing type of an event, as we are really on the backside of the pandemic, in my humble opinion, I believe we are. this was a coming out party, and it's like the NFL was able to really take advantage of the fact that, okay, we got the vaccines in place, numbers are dropping across the board in most places, and it's NFL and it's Cleveland. So that in itself allowed for it to be what we're used to it being. I would love to be up there in the midst of it because Cleveland is such a spectacular sports town. I mean, even without a real football or basketball team, rather, it's a real complete sports town. Okay, so those fans are you fans out there in Cleveland. I hope you guys take notice of this. You deserved every bit of a good time that you had during this festivities known as the 2021 NFL Draft.
Yeah, I have been on the fence about what should happen, or why didn't they push it back another year and give Cleveland another opportunity. So one of the things, I don't know if you got a chance to listen to the show yesterday, one of the rumors that's floating out there with some pretty good sources who are kind of connected, they're saying that possibly Cleveland will be in the kitty again within the next few years to host it, because we had to do this during the pandemic, just like Vegas is getting another shot to do it. Because I don't think there's been a site listed yet for 2024. So we know about Vegas. I don't think it would happen that soon again at all. Mm-hmm. But there's a possibility that it could happen within the next few years. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I was going to ask you because I saw that as we were preparing in our pre-show meeting. When is the last time it's been in New York?
Has it been like 5 years now or so? That's been on the go.
Yeah, I want to say like 2016, 15, somewhere in there. I actually love it. It's like the Super Bowl. You get a chance for different cities to host probably the second most popular.
Lost the connection. So hopefully Willie will be back soon. One of the things that he was saying about the draft was that he predicts that he was talking about some of the cities that have hosted it. And I'm looking up right now who are some of the cities that have hosted the draft, because up until recently, it had been in New York at Radio City Music Hall. And now this is on the go. So that's one of the great things, is that it's on tour, and it gives football fans a chance from all over the country to have a chance to go see it where they live at, and not necessarily have to go to New York to see it. Hey, Willie, you back, sir? Hey.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I got
that's okay.
This thing that said, but no, what I was saying was, I think the NFL draft has become the second biggest spectacle of the NFL season, after season, off season, post season, during season, whatever season, because of the anticipation of what the fans have in terms of what their teams are going to do. So I like the fact that it goes from city to city, because it gives that fan base an opportunity to show what they are. And not every city is going to host the Super Bowl. We know that. Even though the Super Bowl was in cold weather place, Indianapolis, which is indoors, and of course at MetLife Stadium, but we pretty much know that it's not going to be held in Seattle or somewhere like that. Denver, it's not going to be held in Denver.
Why not? I'd be fine with that. If you host it in New York, that gives almost any season, any different team, the opportunity to host it now.
I bet they won't have it in New York again. I bet they won't. They won't. Now
why not have it in Cleveland?
They may, because it's an outdoor stadium. Okay, let me rewind this back to, I think it was week 7 or something like that, when the Raiders came to town and there was this wind blowing off.
We were not supposed to lose that game, by the way.
But this ain't about the game. This is about the weather conditions.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why Cleveland. I love Cleveland as a sports city. But until they put a dome or a roof over that, what is it? First Energy Stadium?
Yes. And that was one of the. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, until they put a roof over that stadium, Cleveland ain't getting the Super Bowl.
And then that was one of the issues too, because the intention was everybody likes cold weather, football weather, blah, 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 blah. But when they built that stadium, it's so cold down there. And there has been times in which it's raining, snowing, people are not down there. So you could have built a dome in which you could have hosted various events. You could have hosted a Final Four. You could have hosted you could have hosted so many different concerts. You could have hosted the combine, all that other stuff. You could have did all these things had you built a dome or a retractable dome. Right. I'm like, if anything, that should have been done. So now we are excluded from having so many different things. And you have a modern stadium, you know that weather is a problem. And then half the time, people don't want to be down there in bad weather. Like one time I was down there, I just attended a holiday party, and we were playing at the time it was the San Diego Chargers, and I don't even know what the weather was. All I know is it was snowing pretty heavily. This was like 2004, and it was snowing so heavily, and they said maybe like 20,000 people showed up to the game. So people are really lying when they say they want football weather and they'll be out there through thick and thin. That's not true at all. So Cleveland missed a huge opportunity to build something that could make a lot more money. Also, that stadium has had problems. They've had plumbing problems. It's been kind of embarrassing. So they just missed a huge opportunity there to have a revenue type deal, money-making thing by hosting events with that space. And I just don't understand what people were thinking when they built it without a retractable dome.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, it seems like that's the wave of the future. Even here in Dallas, the new Ranger Stadium is a retractable roof because I feel like at some point they're going to go for the All-Star game to come here.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody wants to come to Texas and go to a game at Rangers Ballpark or Globe Life Field or whatever it used to be called, and it's 7:00 or 7:30 at first pitch, and it's still 102 degrees outside.
I would be like that.
No, I've gone down there for that. Even in the press box, just getting to the press box in July, at 7:00, it's humiliatingly unbearable.
Wow.
Yeah.
It'd be like that out there, huh?
Yeah, it's like that.
Because it's like that. Ain't that Run DMC? I'm dating myself. But yeah, so looks like it has been held in various cities. So not always in New York. Philly had it in 2017. Then New York City, last time they had it was 2014. Nashville had it in 2019. So Vegas is up 2022. Kansas City is 2023. So there's 2024 that hasn't been booked yet. Chicago held it 2015, 2016. So those 2 years. And then Dallas held it in 2018. But for some reason, I don't remember it being in Dallas at all. I remember it being in Philly. I remember it being in Chicago. But I don't remember it being in Dallas. I don't know what happened. And that was the year that Baker Mayfield was drafted. So that kind of was a big thing, especially him being from Texas as well. So yeah, that's kind of funny, but I think that it was a great experience overall. They said that they were expecting, I haven't seen the final numbers yet, but they said that over 50,000 people attended the NFL draft experience, which was really cool. And that was in the stadium, partially inside, partially outside. They had 40-yard dashes. Which is funny to see people do. It's kind of hard to do a 40-yard dash. A lot of people trip up at first. Then you have the jumping thing where you try to hit to see how high you can jump and hit those markers like the pros do. They had like a kids section with kids out there. Had a field goal section, a Hail Mary, and a fitness station where people can just, warm up and stuff like that. But there was a couple of people who actually made some field goals. So I was a little surprised that some people had some legs, and it was 20 yard. It was a 20-yard field goal. There was not a snapper. There were not blockers or anything like that. But you had some people out there here nailing 20-yard field goals, and we don't know what we're gonna do with our kicking situation. So it was very cool, the atmosphere. They also had, like the traveling exhibit. So they had, because did you get a chance to go down there at all when it was in Dallas?
No, I was not that far away. We were doing our network draft show from a location that's not far from the stadium.
Okay. So they had the football helmets that you could take pictures with. They also had like players, almost like half mannequins, in which you can put your body in there, and it's a team uniform. That was cool. They had all of the rings on traveling display. They also had the locker rooms of players.
Mhm.
For our team, it was Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady. So that was really interesting to be able to see some of those traveling exhibits. And that Kansas City ring is huge. Did not have the Tampa Bay ring in there just yet, but they had up to most recent, well, Kansas City. So it was awesome. And then, you also had the Football Hall of Fame played part of that, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So various aspects of Cleveland was tied to that draft. And, I just thought it was phenomenal. I'm really happy of our city. I'm really proud of our city. And what are some of your thoughts, your observations that you saw from being on the outside and viewing this as an observer of the city?
It looked like a party. I mean, that's what it was. It looked like a party, and as I alluded to earlier, this was a successful event and one that Cleveland deserves, really, really deserves. All of the fans, even if you're not an NFL football fan, even if you're in Cleveland or in the Northeast Ohio area or in Ohio, period, and you're not a Cleveland fan, say you're a Bengals fan or maybe even a Lions fan or what have you, for this to take place with all the pageantry that it was and everything that it encompassed, I thought it was sensational. And again, I think the pandemic being on the backside of it had a lot to do with that because people are ready to get out of the house and start doing things like they used to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to take a quick break right quick. That was a fast 15 minutes. And we're going to be back with her in the huddle because I want to talk about some of the picks and what your Ravens did. And if you liked what your Ravens did, and is that going to get y'all over the hump? So we're going to be right back. What'd you say?
Did you say Ravens?
Not Ravens. I mean Raiders. I might have said Ravens, but I meant Raiders. Girl. My bad. Okay. My bad. We'll be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I am here with my guest co-host, Will Epting of the Shake Back Sports Show. Now, remember, you can always give us a call at 216-271-0959. You can listen to us online at WOVU.org, and you can also download that WOVU app so you can take your favorite personalities on the go, just in case you want to listen to me while you out doing your thing. So welcome back. And Will got on me a few minutes ago because he thought, and I might have did this by accident, to our teams, Rachel, Ramona, Rebecca, it all sounds the same. But when we was going to break, I did ask Will, how did his team perform, which I know are the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders now. How do you feel that your team performed at the draft? Did they fill areas of need? What are your draft opinions about what your favorite team did?
Well, shout out to the town because Oakland will always be the home base of my Raiders. I don't care if they go to Las Vegas, Los Colinas, Los Angeles, wherever. Oakland is what it is. So shout out to the 510 out there on the West Coast as far as the Raiders and what we did in the draft, the first pick was a bit surprising and somewhat frustrating. That pick, I mean, I know that kid, he did win the Outland Trophy, the lineman from Alabama. That was a bit of a reach because a lot of people had him deemed a second round talent. And in typical Raider fashion, we try to sneak in and outthink ourselves and maybe outthink some other people. But in the second round, I was impressed, or I was pleased rather, with the number one safety that was on the board, the kid out of TCU from right here in Texas. I was happy about that pick. But this is the thing with the Raiders in this draft. Yeah, we need a lot of defensive help. Now, Naguku coming in over from Baltimore is a tremendous pickup. We already have Max Crosby on the other side. We also have Mr. Littleton in the linebacking core. I would like to see us get another quality linebacker, maybe one of those kids, either the kid from Notre Dame. But the thing is that we drafted, I think it was 4 safeties, and I don't understand why we had to draft 4 safeties. You have Alex Leatherwood, who of course went number 1 overall, or number 17 overall. Trevon Moehrig from TCU. And then you got Gillespie from Missouri, but we also signed over Carl Joseph back from you guys, which he could have stayed there, to be honest. And then I like to pick up of Malcolm Kuntz, the number 79 pick. He went to the same school as Khalil Mack. So apparently they're hoping that he can channel his inner Khalil Mack, minus the drama, get on the field and get after the passer. So I like the need. I like the whole field at safety and at DN. I don't particularly care for Leatherwood going in the first round, but I understand why.
Yeah, but if he's an Outland, trophy winner as well. That means, one of the best in the nation at what he does. So,
well, that makes him the best for real. So, and he's actually the second offensive lineman from Alabama in the last, I want to say, 4 years to win it. Yeah. And the last person to win it was my homegirl's son, Cameron Robinson, out of Jacksonville. So he went to Alabama after turning down offers from LSU and everybody else, and made a lot of people mad, and went on to Alabama. But I don't really think he's scared because he's paid.
Yeah, where he play at now?
He plays with the Jaguars, so he's going to be
okay. You did say that,
protecting Trevor Lawrence and also opening up holes for Travis Etienne.
Ooh, yeah, because Trevor Lawrence is going to need that. So normally when you're picking a quarterback number 1, you don't have a full team ready to go, as we saw with Joe Burrows with Cincinnati. Just saw the talent that he has and what happened to him. So what the Cleveland Browns did was they did things in phases in which they got their quarterback, they shored up their offensive line, and now they shored up the defense. Do you think that with some of these Raiders picks that these are going to be combo players for you, such as a safety corner, that type of stuff? You think that they're going to be combo players as well?
Yeah, particularly Nate Hobbs out of Illinois. And what I've also found out, I don't know how true it is, so I guess you could say it's a rumor or whatever, but it's looking like that safety Jonathan Abram is going to be moved to the box. So he may be that weak side linebacker, because number 1, and I said this on our draft wrap-up show last night, if you can hear it on all of your podcasting platforms, to include iTunes, Spotify, as well as Google Podcasts. Look, this kid is a major hitter. I mean, a major hitter. Last year, I think it was against Miami or the Chargers. I don't know which one it was, but when he flew down the field and ran himself into that cavalcade of stuff on the sideline and was out for what seemingly was like an hour, he did get up, but that's the type of stuff that I'm scared of for this kid. He is that type of an impact player with the hits that he can bring. So I'm thinking, like, if they move him from safety to linebacker, then he won't have to run as far downhill, as fast downhill, and eventually put himself in the ground or in the hospital. So that'll give him an opportunity to maybe run side to side. And he's actually the best blitzer that we have on the Raiders team. So that'll give him that much of an opportunity to get to the quarterback from the outside as well.
Yeah. What did he run into? A lot of people or what?
It's like it was a big old thing. Like if you think about when these college and high school games going on, and they have all their stuff on the sideline,
Yeah.
load all their equipment into. It looked like one of those.
So this was on purpose or by accident?
Oh no, it was by accident. But he was running downhill so fast. That's what happened.
I'm just glad he's okay.
Yeah, he actually came back in that same game, man. Because I was like, because you know, his rookie year he was out for the season because he injured his shoulder. You
sorry.
a little bit too hard.
I'm sorry. Because I don't know what people be thinking sometimes. So overall, what would you give the Raiders, your team, as their draft grade? What would you give them?
I will give them a solid B minus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll give them a solid B minus.
Okay, with room for improvement, but looking over what some of the draft analysts said, that team has got exponentially better by what they did, so that's a good thing for you. Do we play the Raiders this year?
Yep.
We play them. We play them.
It's in Cleveland, I believe.
Yeah. How did that happen though? How did that happen back to back, home? Because one of the things that, and I mean to cut you off, with Denver, that happened to us 2 years in a row where we had to play Denver at Denver 2 times in a row. The one year we beat them on a Saturday, and then we lost to them on a Sunday the season before last. So I'm wondering how did that happen? But I actually wanted it to be in Vegas, so I actually could try to go to the game. So I'm like, yeah, why are we here playing them again?
Yeah.
I
think it is in Cleveland again.
Oh well.
We can check with the research people.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, you mean us?
I check with the research people over here on this side.
Yeah, the research team. Now, how did you like what the Cleveland Browns did? What are your thoughts about what this team, the hosting team of the draft, did? What are your thoughts about that?
And aside from me talking about Cleveland doing such a terrific job in hosting the draft, I believe that what you guys did in the actual drafting itself was phenomenal. Getting Greg Newsome II out of Northwestern, huge. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who I thought would actually stay in the first round. He was really a first round talent. Getting him, sensational. I mean, like for real. And then with these later picks, the linebacker from West Virginia, Tony Fields II, you want to throw him up against the wall and see what sticks. From everything I can tell, he's a tremendous athlete as well. May not be as polished as they want him to be, but that's why you take him in the later round with the hopes of developing him to be something pretty good. Now, wide receiver from Auburn, Anthony Schwartz. If I am not mistaken, this is the kid who was getting trash talked to him by the cornerback from Mississippi State, I believe it was. And they were going back and forth. And if it's not him, I apologize. But even if it's not him, this is still a good story. This kid, man, was getting trash talked by Mississippi State, their cornerback. And on the very next play, he burned him for a 33-yard touchdown. If that is him, y'all probably have one of the more entertaining prospects on your team out of this draft for real.
He was the fastest player in the draft.
Yeah.
So I look at that move as something that is eventually, unfortunately, after this year, Odell might not be on this team after that. So what'd you say?
He ain't going to be there.
I would love for him to be. I would love for this team to be able to keep him and Jarvis, but I'm slowly coming to the realization that he will not be here after this season that he plays. So one of the things that, yes, we had great receivers, but we had no speed. So this is one of the things that this player can open up that speed for you, and you have a deep threat as well. So, a little raw, but he's going to fill a need that we're going to have that's going to take place in a couple, a season away possibly. And what would you give the Browns for their draft?
I mean, they got darn near 100. I mean, they addressed every single need. They addressed it in the way that they needed it to be addressed, in the order in which it needed to be addressed. And look, there's a new sheriff in town. I don't know if you remember 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte when that fool said there's a new sheriff in town. There's a new sheriff in town in the AFC North, and his name is the Cleveland Browns.
Mm-hmm. But one of the good things about it is they have a good head coach who proved a lot when he had nothing to prove this past season, and also a GM. And one of the things that we talked about yesterday was they're on one accord. They're on the same page without any agendas, because a lot of these previous regimes, they had agendas, but these guys want to win. And now they have set forth a plan to go ahead and do that. And that's stocking this roster up with nothing but talent. And that's what they've done. I'm like, how are you going to get to a 53, 57 man roster if they're expanding rosters? How are you going to do that with all this talent you got?
I don't envy the general manager one bit. What's his name? I forgot his name.
Andrew Berry?
Yeah, Andrew Berry. I don't.
Yeah.
You know what though? As good as that dude has been, he's gonna find a way to make it work.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. It's a problem we've never had. I mean, it slowly started with John Dorsey, so we can thank John Dorsey for getting some of that talent in here, that, stocking it with some of the best talent we've ever had. But then Andrew Berry took that a step further, and this is his second year, and they're knocking it out the park right now. And it's just unbelievable. Cleveland fans are so excited, and we are ready to go. And it's going to be amazing to see how they put this team together. So deep, so talented. And one of the things is, we never had depth at these positions. Now you got some depth. So coming up with these final players, and then everybody saw what we did last year, they want a taste of that again. They want to get to the playoffs. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. I'm very optimistic about it. We're going to have to take a break really quickly. You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We're going to be right back. Two minutes. 30 seconds. All right, welcome back to Her and Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady Sports, and I am here with Will Epting of the Shake Back Sports Show, who is my guest co-host. So happy to have him, so honored to have him as well with me on Tuesday. So we were just talking a little draft talk. We're going to get into some other topics as well that's going on around the other sports leagues. But Will, any surprises for you with this draft?
I mean, yeah, I was really surprised, and I'm not understanding why the Cincinnati Bengals took Jamar Chase when they did at number 5 or 6 or whatever it was.
A lot of people were scratching their heads about that. Go ahead and elaborate though about your thoughts about that.
Yeah, I mean, their quarterback and his quarterback from LSU, in case you forgot, Cincinnati, the dude is not going to play this year at least until October.
Oh,
Why?
he still got. Oh,
Yeah,
dang.
the ACL tear. Remember?
Yeah, but I thought he was going to be able to be back this season because usually it seems like people come back from ACL tears a little quicker than they used to. And it seemed like usually it's about 6 months. So that would have put him in time for being back. Okay, well. Oh, but he had some additional damage in his knee, though, too, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is that even if it is 6 months, he's okay. Adrian Peterson set the standard. He came back in 9, and it ain't happening before. I don't care unless you're Adrian Peterson part 2. You ain't coming back from that injury in 9 months. It's going to be a full year before he's actually back on the field, and it's going to be another full off season and another training camp and OTAs and all that stuff before he actually is back to himself with regard to timing and getting his mind right to be able to get back on the football field and perform without any limitations in his head when it comes to playing that football or playing that position at his utmost highest. So yeah, they may as well just keep him out for the entire year. And then maybe they can go and draft some quality offensive linemen in the 2022 draft.
Yeah, a lot of people were really surprised when that pick was called as well. We were just trying to figure that out. Like, you got to protect Joe Burrows because that's a special talent right there. And normally, well, first of all, he's a Buckeye through and through. His degree says from the Ohio State University. He went to the Ohio State University. Unfortunately, he had to transfer to LSU because he could not get the appropriate playing time, and it worked out for him. Like, he should be happy for OSU, shouldn't have no issues. He got a national championship ring. But you got to protect him. I mean, it was just nasty what happened to him. And if you're not going to protect him, he's not going to be able to do anything for you for years to come. So I don't understand the logic behind that. What do you think about that Trey Lance pick? That was a pick that surprised a lot of people how high he went. What do you think about that pick?
Yeah, and look, shout out to Michael James Hamilton. He's part of the Shake Back Sports Show OT podcast. We talked about this just last night on our show about that. And his thing, and he's a 49er fan. I mean, crazy 49er fan. So he basically said that if that was Kyle Shanahan's guy, then he's happy. Because now the excuses for Kyle Shanahan are going to be out the window in terms of not having who he wants to run his system. So if the 49ers brain trust, Shanahan and John Lynch, if that's the guy that they team or term to be their guy, cool. I still have some questions about that kid because number one, I think he only had like 13 starts. The last person that did that was this high in the draft, he's not even on the same team that he was or when he was drafted, and that's Mitchell Trubisky with a limited amount of starts for that program. So, and then on top of that, he went to North Dakota State, which, and oh, by the way, they actually lost in the FC or FBS semifinals the other day. I know he went to North Dakota State. I know they have an outstanding program, but that's not Ohio State. That ain't LSU. That's not Texas. Well, I ain't gonna say Texas. Forget Texas. That's not Alabama or Georgia or anybody like that.
Yeah.
That's all I have about that. I think the talent is there. I think he's gonna need some polishing. And what he has in his favor is the fact that they ran a pro style offense up there in North Dakota State, so that's gonna help him out as well.
I think so too. That was a surprise pick, but like you said, a lot about Kyle Shanahan is he's an innovative offensive mind, so he's going to put him in a situation in which he can succeed. So it's going to be very interesting what they do with Jimmy Garoppolo as well, because I don't think Jimmy is washed up yet. Do you?
Well, like my boy said again, Michael James Hamilton, the second. Last year we saw the difference between a $40 million a year quarterback and a $25 million a year quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo and Patrick Mahomes, because he missed that throw. So it's not really a question to me of whether he's washed up or not. Number one, he can't stay on the field.
Yeah, that's a big issue.
Yeah, and number two, I mean, when the 49ers, when he plays, they win. I mean, I don't care if he's throwing 6 passes a game or if he's throwing 40 passes a game. they seem to win. But his durability is a definite concern.
Mm-hmm. Fragile. Well, we'll see how that situation plays out. Maybe it's Trey is sitting for the first year and kind of could be a situation like he was involved with in New England where he sits, or you could have one that's like the one in which Kansas City, like Pat Mahomes, he sits. But Mitch Trubisky, you mentioned him, he from Cleveland or a suburb of Cleveland. And I've always thought I think where he messed up at was going to North Carolina. You don't go to a basketball school for football. What are you thinking about? So I don't think he was prepared to come to the league in the right way anyway. And, whatever. So what are your thoughts about Justin Fields being drafted to Chicago? Did you like that pick?
I really wish Fields would have ended up in San Francisco, because I think with Shanahan and his offensive
mind, that would have been good for him.
That would have been a match made in heaven. But for whatever reason, they were higher on Lance than they were on Justin. But what does this say about the Chicago Bears? I think it says more about the Chicago Bears, because look, the general manager and the head coach are they're on their 9th life in Chicago, and they're putting their eggs in the basket of a rookie quarterback to save their jobs. So it says to me that Chicago is a little bit desperate by moving up to take him. They went from 17 all the way up to 10 to get him. Justin Fields is the second best quarterback in this draft. Period, point blank, hands down. After Trevor Lawrence. So why the Niners didn't take him? Okay, you had Jacksonville at number 1. You had the Jets with number 2 with Wilson, Zach Wilson. And I'm certainly glad he didn't go to the Jets. Oh my God. That would have
Yeah, that would have been bad.
Yeah.
But they said that Justin Fields was ranked number 1 on a lot of teams' draft boards. The majority of teams' draft boards. Yet he did not get drafted number 1. Why do you think that is?
Because he could be the number 1. He could be their number 1 quarterback on their board. But guess what? Trevor Lawrence was the number 1 guy on the Jaguars board. So it wouldn't have mattered. And we've known really since the beginning of the college football season last year, after Justin Fields and Trevor came out and said, yo, we want to play. It's not fair. And they came out and played. We've known since then that it was going to either be the Jags, the Jets, or maybe even the Falcons if things fell right. But the Jets messed around and won 2 games. And they lost
against Cleveland. They should not have won.
Right.
But our whole team, not making excuses here, but we were ravaged by COVID.
I mean, but the Jets, let's give some credit to the Jets, because
I'm not giving them no credit for that game. Our whole wide receiving core was gone.
Well, maybe
I'm not giving them no credit.
Maybe not that particular game, but in the games in the latter quarter or the latter third or fourth of the season, they really started playing well. And but for a moronic, idiotic defensive cover 1 blitz called by Greg Norman or Greg whoever his name is from the Jets that got fired the next day, they would have beaten us. So I don't know.
Yeah, do you think Justin Fields should feel kind of slighted that Urban Meyer didn't pick him number 1 and he went to Ohio State?
Should he feel slighted?
Some type of way?
Yeah,
I would. I would.
I think he should feel some type of way. Now I can't remember. He never played for Urban Meyer, did he?
No, he didn't.
Okay, so
Ryan Day, but he transferred when Urban Meyer was coach.
Right. So, but at that point, who was the quarterback at that point? It was Dwayne Haskins, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So should he feel some type of way? Yeah, probably. But I think him being in Chicago as opposed to being in Jacksonville, at least the Bears have made it to the playoffs the last 2 years. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars are complete rebuilding mode.
Okay, that's a good point. So getting to the news right quick. One of the things that was huge last night, because I know you're a baseball guy, so I know you appreciate this, is that the Indians were able to beat the Kansas City Royals, the number 1 team in the AL Central last night, in what would pretty much be deemed a very exciting game, 8-6. Each team had 10 hits, which is something that the Indians have been struggling to do, but they were able to outlast the Kansas City Royals, in which it looked like the Kansas City Royals were going to be able to come back. Aaron Savali pitched a pretty decent game. They took him out, I believe, in the 6th inning. So the score was not high then. At that point, the Indians, it was 3-3, so it was a tie. And then they exploded for runs in the 7th inning. They got 5 runs, one 3-run home run, one 2-run home run. And then Kansas City got 3 runs in that same inning as well. So you're like, oh man, here we go. I'm like, okay, extra innings. But the Cleveland Indians were able to pull it out. Did you get a chance to look at that last night at all? Or?
No, I unfortunately I can't get many Indians
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
But I do keep a close watch on it simply because of Natalie Turk, my hashtag Sissy of Baseball. And she's doing so many great things with that organization as far as covering them. But here's what I'll say about the Indians in that performance. Indians fans, I need you guys to either be on or off. I need you to be either in or out. I need you to be either hot or cold. Don't be mad when you come out and say, this team can't hit. This team can't hit. This team will not hit. Well, they strung together 8 runs last night. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
5 of them by the long ball. Okay. So if you're gonna have a knock on your team, Indians fans, be a little concerned with the pitching and why in the world Shane Bieber ain't getting it together, because he needs to get it together in order for that staff to get it together, thus for putting the Indians in an opportunity to compete for one of those wild card spots.
You think Shane Bieber need to get it together? He's the best pitcher on the roster.
Yeah, but just because you're the best pitcher doesn't always mean you're the most consistent or you're not performing the best.
Zach Plesac, they need to get it together.
And that is true too. That is true as well. But Shane Bieber we can't see Shane Bieber operating like the Shane Bieber that's good. We need the Shane Bieber that's dominant.
That's lights out. That's Cy Young Award winner, All-Star Game, MVP. That Shane Bieber.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I can dig it. Well, this is an important series for this team, and getting that first game, which is something that the Indians really want to do. That was a good thing that they was able to do it, and we'll see what happens with the rest of the series, because now everybody say that the Indians always start slow, but hopefully this is something that's going to get them going, and beating the Royals, who are the leading team in the Central, is going to be a good start to do it. So we got to head into our final break really quickly. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We're going to be right back. All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, and I'm here with my guest co-host, Will Epting of the Shake Back Sports Show, holding it down with me. When we got off, when we went to commercial break, we were just talking about the Cleveland Indians and their big old win against the Kansas City Royals. So that was a huge win for the Indians, because right now the Kansas City Royals are a lead at the division. So getting into your division rivals and foes is something that's very important you need to do. And they're not going to see the Royals again until after All-Star break, I believe. So that's kind of weird to me how we're not going to see them for a couple months. Super duper weird.
Yeah, I think that's more in line with what the MLB was trying to do to make sure that all of the meaningful division games are played really all in September. So that could be a good thing though.
I don't like that. I don't like that, especially depending on how things transpire. But one team I wanted to talk about really quickly was the New York Mets because they started firing people already. They fired their hitting coach, Chili Davis, and the assistant hitting coach, Tom Slater. They're 11-12. And one thing of note, Cleveland fans, I don't know if they're going to be happy about this. They possibly could be happy about this. Francisco Lindor is batting 163 and 0-20, and his contract was for $341 million. Will, you a baseball person? Do you think that Francisco Lindor is going to get out of the slump?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. we talked about this on the most recent episode of the Hashtag Brothers of Baseball show. That's with your boy Willie Epstein Jr. and Natalie Turk and Mike Martinez. Mike Martinez is actually a huge Mets fan.
Okay.
So we discussed this last night on our show, and he basically said the same thing. Or he really tried to talk Mets fans off the ledge, much like Natalie has to talk Cleveland Indians fans off the ledge, and basically saying this, yo, be cool and hold on. It's May 4th or May 5th. He's not going to be hitting, at or below the Mendoza line all season. And just like I said, he is going to get acclimated to National League pitching, and it's going to be okay.
I mean, pitching is pitching, though, right?
Huh?
Pitching is pitching, though, right? Don't matter what league it's in, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, he hasn't faced the likes of Steven Strasburg or Max Scherzer or Aaron Nola or Patrick Corbin on a regular basis, so it takes time.
I mean, he's seen it on occasion, in interleague play, but you talking about not every day.
Yeah, because you gotta think those division foes are playing each other 19 times.
I know. Seems I'm for more interleague play. I'm for interleague play. I can't stand playing a team 19 times a year. I really can't take that. So Cleveland fans, they might be kind of torn. We loved Frankie, but then when he left, he started talking some junk about not working out as hard as he possibly could have and going to sleep during the World Series. So I think that turned some fans a little bit against him a little bit, but Frankie is still one of my favorite players, near and dear to my heart, and I'll just see what happens. I'm going to withhold judgment just yet. So Cleveland Cavaliers made an announcement today, and they re-signed fan favorite Anderson Varejao to a 10-day contract. So I think most people believe that he's going to be retiring a Cleveland Cavalier. He spent over 12 years here with the organization. He did not get a ring in that 2016 season. I believe he could have got one under Golden State, though, for maybe their 2015 win, I think, because might have been with them then. But I don't know about this move. Maybe he can be that type of player that can show these young players how to actually play, because Kevin Love is not a leader at all. He's not going to be able to do that. But Anderson Varejao, 12 years with this franchise. He loves Cleveland. He said he's always kept his home here. 10-day contract at the end of the season where the Cavs are not going anywhere. What are your thoughts about a move like that? It was a long press conference too, and it was like 52 reporters on it, which is not usual, and a whole bunch of Portuguese speaking news outlets as well. So that got out kind of quick, and it got assembled like Transformers or whatever that is. What is that? Transformers Get Information or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, a lot of reporters on there are speaking Portuguese, but you laughed. What's the point of that?
Well, he's 38 years old. Okay.
Oh gosh, I was 38. My gosh.
Yeah, he's 30. He's 38 years old, and since he was in his prime in the NBA has changed. The NBA, the way that it's played, has changed. It's way more free flowing. You really can't even breathe on an offensive player without getting teed up or something stupid like that. So Varejao's skill set, or what remaining skill set he may have, may not translate well to the way that the NBA is played right now. Now, He may be brought in to retire as a Cavalier, as you stated. He may even be being brought in to retire as a Cavalier and may ultimately end up on the bench as one of the coaches. Who knows? I don't know if that's what his direction is. But in terms of these kids not knowing how to play, no, they know how to play. They just don't know how to be pros. And that is something that Verjao can actually teach them, is how to be a pro basketball player, because
Mhm.
it ain't always about what's going on the basketball court when there's 20,000 people in the seats and ESPN is in the building. You know, what is it like when you're in the training room, or what is it like when there you guys have just finished practice? Are you staying behind? Are you working on your free throws? Are you working on your ball handling? What are you doing with your agility? And I think those are the types of things that Anderson, Andy, Verjao can bring to the table and mentor some of these kids on what to do while they're pros.
Yeah, because Kevin Love and it, we didn't even get it. I didn't even get a chance to discuss his antics last week, but I think the whole city and the organization is over Kevin Love. The question is, what do they do with him at this point? So, also there's another issue with the team as well, and reports are starting to leak out that Colin Sexton teammates are not happy with him not passing the ball to them, and other people that they play against, other teams that they play against, players will taunt certain players and be like, you know, he ain't gonna pass the ball to you.
Again,
Sorry.
but again, though, think about it. That's not if you're allowing your opponent to talk you out of your game like that, you don't know how to be a pro. That's the thing. That's number one. The one of the number one things that we do when we're 12, 11, 10, 13 years old playing on the court, and that's just part of the trash talk. So now you're going to bring what they said into our house? That says more about you than it does about the other team. It says more about you than it does about Colin Sexton. Jeez. You need to grow up, man.
But the fact that this is like a serious and valid talk for some people, and then got mad at Colin Sexton. Colin gets his shots, he gets his buckets. He has been the leading scorer on this team. He's pretty much been your offense the whole season. So somebody got to do it if other people ain't doing it. Darius has came on as of late. He's injured though. Also Isaac Okoro has, been coming on, but it's the end of the season. The season is pretty much over. But why are these coming out now? Because the season is kaput and done. I could see if this was October or something like that. But what's the point of bringing it up now? But this isn't the first time that this has came out though. So this seems to be something that's reoccurring, something that keeps on getting leaked to the media. So there has to be some truth behind it. Come on now.
I mean, whatever. Yeah, and you know what? Let there be truth behind it. Okay, so you guys need to step your game up. That's what I would be saying. But if I'm a person in the media in Cleveland, I would be asking these questions. And you know what? I'm really interested in knowing what person is actually saying that, because if you weren't picked in the top 3 round or one of the top 5 picks in whatever draft that you were in, and you're saying this about Colin Sexton, who was the number 1 overall pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, dude. He ain't going nowhere. You're going to be the
one. Yeah, that's a very interesting story. So also Melo, because we got 2 minutes left, moves up to number 10 on the all-time scoring list. Is Melo one of those all-time greats who should have a ring? Like, I just kind of, I wouldn't say, and maybe I could phrase this a better way, but I just kind of feel like his career has kind of been a waste.
Yeah, and it really all kind of depends on how you look at it, because will we say that Charles Barkley's career was a waste? Probably not. Will we say that Patrick Ewing's career was a waste? Probably
They
not.
at least made it to some finals, though. Has he ever? He's never made it to an NBA final.
He's never made it to the finals. Charles Barkley's only been there once. Patrick Ewing only went there once. Karl Malone and John Stockton went there twice. So other than that, I wouldn't say it's a waste. Look, Carmelo Anthony, I went back and watched some tape of him when he was at Syracuse, and not much has changed other than he's gotten a little bit, heavier, and he's a little older. His braids are back. But in terms of his play and his ability to score the ball, that's still there. That is still there. And look, he may not be one of the all-time great players, but he definitely is one of the all-time great scorers and one of the top 3 best scorers of this generation for sure.
Well, that's it. That's our time because it's about to be 7 o'clock. So, just want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate you. We always have a good time doing this. Also, before we go, Russell Westbrook is the only player with multiple 20 assists and 20 rebound games in NBA history, and Wilt Chamberlain is the only other player with one. So, Russ, keep doing what you're doing. The Wizards are surging, so we'll see what happens with them. But Will, hopefully you can join me next week. I appreciate you. I love having you with me. And you have been listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. Keep it locked here next.
Cool.